Once upon a time, oh, many years ago, his time is calculated by man, but which was only yesterday by the celestial calendar of heaven, there was in paradise a most miserable, thoroughly unhappy, utterly dejected little cherubim, who was known throughout all paradise as the littlest angel. He was exactly 4 years, 5 months, 6 days, 7 hours, and 42 minutes of age when he presented himself to the veritable gatekeeper and waited admittance to the glorious kingdom of God. Standing defiantly, with his short, brown legs wide apart, he tried to pretend that he wasn't at all impressed by such unearthly splendor and that he wasn't at all afraid. But his lower lip trembled and a tear disgraced him, making a new furrow down his already tear-streaked face, coming to a halt at the end of his short, brown, freckled nose. And that wasn't all. While the kindly gatekeeper was entering his name in the great book, the littlest angel, having left home in such a hurry, forgot his handkerchief. And he tried to hide the telltale evidence by sniffing, a most unheavenly sound, which made the good gatekeeper do something he had never done before in all eternity. He blotted the page. From this time on, the heavenly peace was never quite the same. The littlest angel became the despair of all the heavenly host. His ear-shrieking whistle could be heard at all hours through the golden streets, disturbing the prophets at their meditation. And on top of that, he sang off-key at the practice of the heavenly choir, spoiling its angelic effect. And being so small, it seemed to take the littlest angel twice as long as anyone else to get to nightly prayers. And always being late, he'd knock everyone's wings aside, darting into place. Now, although these flaws in his behavior could be overlooked, his appearance was even more disruptible than his deportments. It was whispered among the angels and the archangels that he didn't even look like a little angel. And they were quite right. He didn't. His halo was permanently tarnished where he held it in one hot, chubby little hand when he was running. And he was always running. And even when he was standing still, it didn't behave like a halo should. It'd slip down over his left eye or over his right eye, or else just for pure meanness roll off the back of his head down some golden street just so he'd have to chase after it. And when the littlest angel, like a fleeting sparrow, perched itself on the edge of a silver cloud preparing to take off, he'd lean first to the left, then to the right, and after a few false starts, he'd just shut his eyes, hold his nose, count up to 103, and hurl himself slowly into space. But the littlest angel, always forgetting to move his wings, fell head over halo. And it must be mentioned here, too, the littlest angel was constantly seen biting his wingtips. Now, as anyone can easily see, the littlest angel, sooner or later, would have to be disciplined. So on the eternal day of the eternal month, in the year eternal, the littlest angel was directed to appear before the angel of peace. That day he got up, washed his face, combed his hair, scrambled into an almost clean robe, and with a heavy heart trudged to the place of judgment. He tried to postpone the ordeal a few moments by looking at the list of new arrivals in heaven. But all the angels knew he couldn't read one word. And then he stopped for a moment to look at the splendid array of harps. But all the archangels knew he couldn't tell one harp from the other. At last, the littlest angel approached the doorway of the understanding angel. And to his great surprise, he heard a merry voice singing. He took off his halo, breathed upon it, rubbed it on his almost clean robe, and tiptoed in. But when the understanding angel saw the littlest angel, she laughed a jolly, heartwarming laugh. At this, the littlest angel instantly tried to make himself invisible by pulling the collar of his robe up over his head, much like a snapping turtle. At this, the understanding angel laughed and said, "So you're the one who's been making heaven so unheavenly. Come here and tell me what it's all about." The littlest angel looked out first with the left eye, then with the right eye. And before he knew what had happened, he found himself perched on the lap of the understanding angel, explaining why it was so hard for a little boy to find something to do in heaven. And it made no difference what the angels and archangels said. He only swung once. Well, maybe twice. All right, 3 times on the Golden Gate, but it was just something for him to do. That was the whole trouble. There was nothing for a little angel to do in heaven. Oh, it wasn't that heaven wasn't beautiful, but earth was beautiful too. And on earth there were trees to climb, swimming holes to swim in, and the warm earth beneath his feet. The understanding angel smiled, and in his eyes shone the almost forgotten memory of another small boy long ago. And then he asked the littlest angel, what in all paradise would make you most happy? The littlest angel thought a moment and said, there's a box back home under my bed. If I could only have that. The understanding angel smiled and sent a fleet-winged messenger to earth to dispatch the box and bring it back to the littlest angel. In the days that followed, all the heavenly host marveled at the great change in the littlest angel. He looked like a little angel, he acted like a little angel, and he even flew like a little angel. Then it came to pass that Jesus, the Son of God, was to be born of Mary in Bethlehem of Judea. The glad tidings spread throughout all paradise, and the angels lifted their voices to herald the miracle of miracles, the coming of the Christ child. And very soon the angels, the archangels, the gatekeeper, the wingmaker, and even the halo smith put aside their work to prepare a gift for the blessed child. All but the littlest angel. And he perched himself on the topmost step of the golden staircase, waiting patiently for an inspiration to come. Oh, what? What could he give the Son of God? What could he give that would please the Christ child? The day of miracles was very near at hand when he decided on his gift. And on the day of days, he brought it from its hiding place behind a silver cloud. It was a small, rough, unsightly box, but in it were the things that even the child of God would treasure. And with downcast eyes, he placed it before the throne of God. But when the littlest angel saw his small, rough, unsightly box among all the beautiful, shining array of gifts of all the angels, he wanted to take it and run and hide before anyone saw him. But he was too late. The hand of God moved slowly over all the beautiful, shining array of gifts, then paused, then dropped, and came to rest on the lowly gift of the littlest angel. And there to be opened before the eyes of God and all the heavenly host was what he had offered the Christ child. What was his gift? A butterfly. A butterfly with golden wings captured one morning on the high hills of Jerusalem. 2 sky blue eggs taken from the nest of an olive tree that stood to shade his mother's kitchen. 2 white stones taken from the bank of a muddy river where he and his friends had played like little brown beavers. And at the bottom of the box, a limp, worn, tooth-marked dog collar. It had been worn by his dog who had lived as he had died, a life of love and infinite devotion. The littlest angel wept hot, bitter tears. Oh, why? Why had he ever thought that little box was so wonderful? Instead of honoring the Christ child, he had disgraced him. And in frantic terror, the littlest angel turned to run, but he tripped and fell, and his halo rolled off the back of his head and came to a stop at the very foot of the throne of God. There was a dreadful silence throughout all paradise, and nothing could be heard but the heart-breaking sobs of the littlest angel. And then the voice of God, like divine music, rose and swelled throughout all paradise. And the voice of God spoke, saying, of all the gifts of all the angels, I find this box pleases me most, for its contents are of earth and of man, and my son is born to be king of both. These are the things he too will love, cherish, and regretfully leave behind when his task on earth is done. I accept this gift in the name of the child born this night of Mary in Bethlehem of Judea. And then that small, rough, unsightly box began to glow with an unearthly light, and the light became a lustrous flame, and the flame became a radiant brilliance that blinded the eyes of all the heavenly host. And none but the littlest angel saw it rise from its place before the throne of God. And he, and only he, saw it arch in the firmaments of the heavens to shed its clear, white, beckoning light over a stable where a child was born. And there it shone on the night of miracles. And its light reflected down the centuries deep in the hearts of all mankind. Yet earthly eyes, blinded too by its splendor, could never know that the lowly gift of the littlest angel is what all men would call forever the shining star of Bethlehem.